Hello, well, welcome back to ZFL Season 3. And if you're wondering where we've been, I do apologise, it's been a little bit of a while. Obviously, there was a lot of work between the two seasons to get everything set up, between the end of Season 2 and the start of Season 3. But also, I've had all sorts of other stuff going on, like moving house and not having broadband for a bit, and all sorts of nonsense that make these things difficult. But the good news is that we are getting back up and running, and that means that we can bring the ZFL back to YouTube. I know lots of you who've been following this through YouTube rather than Twitch. So again, I can only apologise that it's been such a long delay between the end of the 24-94 season and the start of the 24-95 season, but hopefully it will be worth the wait. So I've put this hopefully very short video together just to run over some of the things that will be different between the season that you've just watched, which was the Elite Division in 24-94, otherwise known as Season 2, and the new season, Season 3, 24-95 season, because there's a few tweaks to the rules that we've made along the way. So, as you can see on the screen now, the big change is what we call coach action points. Each round, all of the coaches in the ZFL now spend coach action points to manage their team. We've abbreviated, I should say, this to CAP, and there are a set number of default actions available to all of the teams. Then each of the teams have a special action that is unique to them. So that gives all of the teams a little bit of that extra ZFL flavour. Obviously, they're not all balanced, but balance is not really the point as much as interesting is. Teams in higher divisions have more cap available. As you can see, Elite Division coaches will get 10 cap. Second Division coaches get 8. And new for this season, the Third Division, those coaches get a weekly allowance of 6 cap. So it pays to be higher up and coaching those teams, because you can do more with them. The Elite Division coaches can't have everything they want, but they've certainly got a lot more options available to them each round. Whereas the Third Division coaches have to maybe take some suboptimal skills, scramble around a bit more, and try to make some more clever plays to be able to develop their team and achieve their goals. Note that's more interesting for the coaches than yourselves, probably. Unspent cap does not transfer to future rounds. So coaches can't save up their coach action points to produce like a super turn in future rounds. Any unspent cap is lost at the end of each round. So in terms of actions, there is one mandatory action that must be completed each week, and that is the level players action. All coaches will level 2 players each round, regardless of the team's performance. Everything that isn't the level players action is then considered an optional action. Coaches are never required to take any optional actions. They are required to take the level players coaching action. But those optional actions do include useful mechanics such as recuperate, responding to events in Bloodlines magazine, or hiring star players. There's all sorts in there. As it says down here, in addition to their standard weekly allowance of cap, coaches can earn bonus cap by completing demands. So demands are a thing that have existed in the ZFL since the start. And this is my way of encouraging coaches to have to think outside the box or do things a little bit differently. Each team has various stakeholders, such as the fans, the owner, or a sponsor. And they're things that the coach doesn't necessarily want to do, but the reward for completing them is bonus cap. So what we've got is a way of encouraging people to do those demands that they don't want to do because they get a proper reward for it. Bonus cap can be used to power up a coach's action spend during a round. So what it allows you to do is if you could previously only afford a tier 2 skill, for example, you can now afford a tier 1 skill, which is better. So you can train your team up, you can get more recuperate that you might want, you can develop more of your academy players. There's all sorts of things that they can do with that bonus cap. It does allow them to spend more than their normal weekly allowance, and particularly in the third division, bonus cap is crucial for them having a good season. The leveling system is another big change. The big one is there in red text, no SPP. So star player points are turned off for this season. And instead, we guarantee that all teams gain 2 levels per round. The 2 players who level are the 2 MVPs. So the match MVP is the randomly decided in-game MVP. And then the admin MVP is decided by the team's admin or the admin teams each week by whatever metric they like. So it could be the guy who scores a winning touchdown. It could be the guy who causes the most casualties. It could be the guy who takes a whole bunch of LOS blocks without having their armor broken. All sorts of different metrics, and the coaches don't know what the metric will be each round. The coach must apply new skills to the 2 MVPs at the beginning of the next round. And then all of the skills cost cap to take. So the cap cost of a skill is determined by its skill tier. Tier 1 skills like block and guard are expensive to teach your team. The other consideration is that cap costs for skills increase further based on 2 modifiers. Number 1 is easy, whether it's a secondary access skill, so trying to give guard to an elf, for example, is more expensive. The second one is a bit more, is convoluted the word? We're trying to get away from the spam of good skills. So the prevalence of the skill on the team is taken into account. And when that says it includes default skills, that means the skills that players were given at the start of the season. Dwarfs aren't punished for having lots of block by default. But the more they take guard, the harder it is for them to get more guard, because it gets more expensive each time they try to get guard. And then the more cap that the coach spends on their team, the less they will have available to do the other stuff. So taking 2 tier 1 skills will wipe out basically all of an elite division budget for the round. So they can't use recuperate, they can't heal players from injury, they can't develop future players coming through their academy, they can't take their special action, all that sort of thing. So there's a real balance between where do I take a good skill, especially when I can't guarantee which players will level. And there's a whole thing around how much do you need those optional actions as well, if I can find my train of thought. So if I've taken lots of injuries in the previous week, maybe that means that I can't actually afford to level the players that I wanted to level with the skills that I want to give them, because I now need to spend half of my budget on getting players back from injury so that I don't lose my next game. So lots of plates to spin, the idea of making it feel like a coaching setup. The best way for a coach to take the tier 1 skills they want is to complete demands. So completing demands adds bonus cap to the team's pool, and that bonus cap can be used to overspend during a game round. And don't worry on the cap, we have a new graphic before each game. Obviously, we've always had the Bloodlines match preview graphic, which just gives a little bit of backstory around the game. But we also now have a cap spend graphic as well, which you'll see when you start watching through the games. So at the beginning of each game, we can bring you up to speed on exactly what the coaches have been doing, where they've been spending their coach action points, and how they're trying to manage their team throughout the season. Okay, I think that's all I wanted to say to bring you up to speed on the rules. The rules obviously are very, very in-depth, and there's lots of reading you can do. I will put a link to the full rules in the description of the video below. The Elite Division will be the primary focus of my channel. And then the second division is going to be covered by Misspelled Tree and T-Self, which I'm delighted about. And the third division is going to be covered by Torquemada and Outcast, which I'm also delighted about, because Torquemada particularly, has been doing a really good job on the live games that we've had to do so far. And the early games that you will see, I hope it's just the early games at time of speaking. Right now, as I'm talking to you, the replays in Blood Bowl 3 are horribly broken and are unusable. Obviously, all the videos that you've seen are us doing replays. There's only been a couple of live games here and there. But we really rely on those replays, and they have been broken for a little while now. We are hoping they'll be fixed with the Season 10 patch that I think is coming within a week of me posting this, all going well. So, yeah, hopefully it won't be too long. But the early games that you'll see, the early Howitzer Cup games that I'll upload, and the early Elite Division games, I've had to actually edit replays together. So they'll be a little bit clunky in places, but I've had to spend time editing them together so we can get the usual vibe that we want. The other divisions have had live coverage so far. I'm hoping that we'll get those uploaded to YouTube in separate playlists. I've been doing some of the live games as well. So keep an eye out for those. But there will be a standard Elite Division playlist on my channel, and then we can find links to Tree's channel and Torquemada's channel if they end up on YouTube as well, which I hope they do. So plenty for you to watch because we've got 3 divisions. Final thing to say is that the ZFL does have its own Discord server now. So I've moved it away from my own Discord server that I was using for various bits and pieces that I've been running over the years. And the ZFL does now have its own Discord server. Again, the link to that is in the description of the video below. So hopefully we will see you there. You can use that to follow various news snippets. You can see all the Bloodlines magazines that are produced. And you can just keep up with all the goings on from around the league. So hopefully you enjoy the Season 3 playlist, which will follow on from this little intro video. And yeah, thank you for watching.